Welcome to another installment of Industry Insights. Today I'm joined by Josh from Miller-Knoll. He was a recent summer intern, and he's here to talk more about the internship experience at Miller-Knoll. So welcome, Josh. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. We really appreciate you and your team having us talk about Miller-Knoll to the Lehigh students.
Yeah, we look forward to learning more, and I know the students will love it as well. So with that being said, could you just give us a brief introduction into Miller-Knoll and also your internship experience?
Yeah, to start, my name is Josh Bakeman. I'm currently a talent recruiter for Miller-Knoll, focused on recruiting for next summer's internship program. And last summer, I had an internship with Herman Miller, working with the New York sales team, working remotely out of West Michigan. I am currently a senior at Hope College, double majoring in psychology and business, and hope to continue down the road of HR. So in terms of company, in 2021, Herman Miller and Knoll combined to become Miller-Knoll. And it's a collective of 19 dynamic design brands that come together to design the world we live in and work in through office furniture, office spaces, residential spaces, and more. Mm-hmm. And Herman Miller, Knoll, and the 17 other brands will continue to be distinct brands, but Miller-Knoll is the umbrella term that culminates all 19. So it is a little confusing, but Miller-Knoll is a culmination of all 19 brands, but every brand is still their own.
Gotcha.
And together, the goal of Miller-Knoll is to create a more compelling, more dynamic whole, better suited to anticipating the future through problem-solving design. We are all guided by the same shared vision of growth, common values, and a commitment to design. And here at Miller-Knoll, we push each other and inspire each other to innovate and design the future for all the places where life and work intersect and where they have. To primarily speak upon the internship positions open within Miller-Knoll for next summer. And we have a range of internship opportunities available from sales to finance to design to engineering and more. And these internship positions are 12-week opportunities that run from May 16th to August 5th. Interns are expected to work full-time in a hybrid format, and fully remote internships are available, but it's dependent on the position and the needs of the work team leader. And free housing is provided to students who live over 50 miles away from Holland, Michigan, if they have to work out of the West Michigan department. And we get to spend the summer also working on a cross-functional intern team project and present it to the organization at the end of summer. And personally, as a past intern, that was one of my favorite highlights of the whole experience, to work with other interns and solve a problem and present it to the end to leadership. And my project was super cool. It was about the Diversity and Design Initiative, which I'll talk about later. And some other perks about this internship program is you get paid holidays, you get free entry into a professional development conference. Each intern gets assigned their own mentor, and there's paid overtime if needed, and there are fun intern weekend events that we put on to connect with the other interns and meet people within the organization. And specifically, Knoll and Lehigh have had a really good relationship over the years, and we have converted a lot of Lehigh students into full-time positions after graduating. And an example of a Knoll-specific internship that will be offered is in the engineering department with the continuous improvement position. So keep a lookout for that.
Great. That was definitely a lot of valuable information. So thank you, Josh, for sharing all that. You really touched on so much, and it seems like Miller-Knoll really values these internship experiences. Like, these seem to be very fully fledged, fully developed, thoughtful internships. It's not, you're not going to be doing, very dull tasks off somewhere in a corner of an office. It sounds like you're really going to be getting involved, getting your feet wet, and really learning what it means to be a professional in a very competitive company.
Yeah, you're working with your work team leader most of the time. They always have projects ready. We only put out requisitions and jobs with work team leaders who have relevant projects for their interns to work on. You're not just going to be getting coffee all day. So yeah, and like I said, another big part was also that cross-functional project, which is a lot of fun to work on and a great learning experience.
Yeah, great. Do you mind just explaining a bit more about the cross-functional project?
Yeah, so last summer we had about 30 interns, and we got split into 4 different teams. So these teams are randomly selected, and you could have a team comprised of a sales intern, engineers, designers, and you get presented a project at the beginning with the sponsor, and you spend about 10% of the summer, which is about four hours a week, getting a presentation ready, meeting with your sponsors, and just collecting data. And the final result is about a 20 to 30-minute presentation at the end of summer to leadership with about a 30-minute Q&A. And yeah, a lot of your mentors will be there watching your presentation. The higher executives will be there, your mentors and peers. And yeah, it's just a really good experience. So some examples of projects from my internship year, I worked on a diversity and design initiative, which was the goal was to increase representation of design to Black designers, and especially college age. So we came up with, we planned a whole design sprint. And came up with all the logistics, housing, the prompt for the design sprint, and how we're going to go forward with it. Another group found a good way to use ocean-bound plastics to create something that we can give to customers or clients in our offices. And yeah, other ones were focused on how to make the internship program more global. And they're all really, really wonderful projects to work on, and yeah, a lot of fun too.
Yeah, it sounds like they sound like amazing experiences and things that are going to fully prepare students to tackle real world challenges, giving, 20, 30-minute presentations to, higher ups in a company, or trying to, solve the world's problems essentially through the use of your own talent at your own company. I think that is all, very appealing, to prospective interns, to anybody graduating. And so, what are some skills and competencies that you would look for in a prospective intern?
Yeah, for sure. So firstly, we have minimum requirements that apply to all positions. The student must have at least a 3.0 GPA, have completed some basic coursework in their field, and be an undergraduate student enrolled in an accredited college or university. And recent grads are still welcome to apply as long as they're not enrolled into like a graduate MBA program. We do have a couple positions that are for those graduate students, but most of the summer internships are for undergrads. And if you're a recent grad, we've had numerous success stories with seniors who took an internship and got hired in full-time afterwards, as they took advantage of the opportunity, did well, and networked with lots of people. So along with those minimum requirements, we're also looking for students who have a little experience or skills in whatever position they're applying for. We realize this is a learning experience, so we don't expect the students to enter knowing everything about whatever. But yeah, some examples are, if you're a student applying to a finance position, we look for some Excel or spreadsheet skills potentially. If you're going into a design position, we look at your portfolio, see if you have some skills in different programs such as Adobe Creative. And for the Knoll continuous improvement internship position, we look for a background in mechanical engineering or industrial engineering, and see if they have some data analysis skills, for example. But yeah, most of all, we're looking for candidates with strong interpersonal and collaboration skills. We like to see students who are active in clubs, sports, or any other organizations. That is always a big plus. And we also want someone who has strong willingness to learn, is curious, and will fully contribute to tasks and work that may be assigned to them, and are confident in what they're doing. Great.
Would you say that it sounds like communication is a very big part of this internship, being able to practice those skills? Would you say that?
I would, yeah, definitely.
Great. And what is, if, for anybody watching this video, say they're first year, sophomore, junior, rising, what's kind of the sweet spot for applying in terms of where you're at in your undergrad career?
Yes, that's a good question. I'd say the sweet spot is like rising junior, rising senior are what most of the positions are looking for, but sophomores can also apply to these positions. It's really dependent on your experience, what you can bring, and what we see, and extracurriculars and stuff like that. So it's pretty much free to apply for anyone that's in whatever year they are in college.
Great. And do you mind just describing a bit about the application process? Did you have to do a video essay? Was it just, a resume, CV? What what type of process was it involved?
Yeah, so for the Herman Miller internships, you can find them on hermanmiller.com/internships. Knoll internships, you can find them at knoll.com/careers. And then once you apply to the position, there'll be some pre-selected questions that will ask you about a team project you worked in, what's your favorite class and least favorite class, what are some things you get involved in. And so then once you fill out the application, we will set up a phone screen with students and ask some more questions. And then after that, there is a final interview process. So for the internship positions, we try our best to keep it into a 2-interview process, a phone screen and an interview with the hiring manager and whoever he wants to bring along. So it can be just a hiring manager interviewing, or it can be a panel interview, but we usually try to keep the final interview under 60 minutes. Most of them are about 30 to 45.
Okay. Yeah, that's very valuable. So thank you for sharing, Josh. So once a student lands an internship, what are some skills that you feel, or some characteristics you feel really help you stand out?
Yeah, so I'd say someone who is timely with projects, follows through on tasks, keeps track of their time very well. And like we've talked about earlier, communicates well with the team, will ask a lot of questions, shows problem solving skills. And at the end of the summer, what's looked at most is how much they grew from the beginning of the summer to the end. If we saw they made an impact, grew personally and in the job they're in. And we also encourage them to explore different areas of the company and use the summer as an opportunity to network with people throughout the organization. A cool perk of the internship program is that you get to take part in weekly coffee chats with executives from all areas of the company. And students who take advantage of these opportunities and network the most are usually the ones that stand out because their name's remembered and they really spread their network. So that's what makes an intern really stand out for us.
Yeah, it sounds like there are amazing opportunities to take your experience past the internship stage and really get a position. It sounds like, again, you're setting them up for success. Great. So next question, you already touched a bit on this. How important is diversity, equity, inclusion to Miller-Knoll, to this internship experience? Please feel free to share any examples that you have.
Yeah, so we incorporate DEI in a few intentional ways, and I'll start with talking about equity teams. So we have 7 global equity teams at Miller-Knoll. We have the Enabled Equity team, which is enhancing abilities and leveraging disabilities. We have the Gender Equity, Generations Equity, LGBTQ plus equity, Racial Equity, Global Equity, and Veterans Equity. That's 7 of them. And these teams are voluntary employee-led groups whose aim is to foster a diverse and inclusive workplace aligned with the goals of the organization and, more importantly, the people in it. And one thing that I really appreciated about these equity teams is that no matter if you're a part-time employee, full-time, or an intern, you're invited and encouraged to take part in these groups and get involved with attending these different meetings and events. As an intern, I remember I was attending the meetings for all these teams, and it was an open invite to everyone throughout the organization to see improvements and different events that might be coming up. And next, apart from the equity teams, there's also scholarship opportunities available to minority students, like the Knoll Diversity Advancement Design Scholarships for Black students. And incentives, or the program like this will provide individual tuition awards up to $10,000 renewable annually to a total of Black high school graduates pursuing a degree in a field of design. So in other areas, opportunities like scholarships to incorporate DEI. And lastly, I'd like to talk about what I mentioned earlier, which is a project I worked on, which helped with the Diversity and Design Collaborative, DID for short. And this is another way our workplace is incorporating the ideals of DEI. And the DID Collaborative is united by a belief in design's power to enact positive change and the role of diversity in creating stronger business. And the main focus is to increase representation of Black designers in the field of design and in this process, we're in partnership with historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs, minority serving institutions, educational programs, nonprofits, and the DID Collaborative connects Black designers to design organizations and, most importantly, employment opportunities. And some efforts of the DID Collaborative have included opportunities around design fairs, internships, scholarships, fellowships, mentorship, conferences, and an involvement in design education. My summer intern group on our cross-functional project worked on the effort of designers.
Okay. It sounds, I mean, this is all fantastic. It sounds like this is an incredibly, this sounds like a focal point of the organization, the company as a whole. And it's a really, important segue into, employee feedback, employee voice. It sounds like it's very much valued. Just based off the equity teams you were discussing, how it's really, open invitation, anybody can come, anybody can speak and really discuss things important to them, topics important to them, identity is important to them.
Yeah, and to follow that, in terms of hiring practices too, we are really making an effort to close the gap and increase representation in gender and racial diversity. And part of the recruitment process is attending many diverse job fairs like the Michigan State University Diversity Fair and the DEI Fair at U of M. And we also promote the internship positions to HBCUs and other minority institutions. And we're obviously non-discriminatory in the application process, encourage people of all background to apply, as there's a fair shot for everyone to land a position here. And we encourage that too. Great.
And do you mind just discussing a little bit more detail, kind of how you felt your voice was respected at the internship over the summer?
Yeah, like throughout the summer, my voice was really heard. Part of the internship program is meeting with the team every week. You meet with your work team leader one-on-one. They ask you especially what you're growing in, what you're struggling in, and what you and different advice you might have for the team. Your voice is definitely heard. You're not doing just the menial tasks. You're keeping in contact with your work team leader, teammates on projects you're doing. They're really open to receiving feedback on what they're doing. Miller-Knoll really is open to interns who speak their voice. We want someone who isn't afraid to question the practices that we're doing right now, and stuff like that. So interns are definitely encouraged to speak their voice, and you feel heard with the projects and constant meeting with people in your team and the conversations you have with your work team leader and other conversations you might have in an equity team chat too.
Sure. Great. Thank you, Josh. And to wrap up this, wonderful interview, can you please describe some ways that interested students can connect with Miller-Knoll to find out more about the internship, to apply, just to talk with any employees?
Yeah, so firstly, anyone can feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Joshua Paquin, Paquin is my last name. And past that, you can go on the hermanmiller.com/internships or knoll.com/careers. And once you click the red button on the website, it'll direct you to the site with all the jobs listed. And then you can read the descriptions and find which jobs match what you're doing and what you'd like to do. And you can apply to more than one position. And yeah, so that's how you go forward. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or anyone else in the Miller-Knoll family. So.
And lastly, what is one important piece of advice you would share with anybody looking to apply, with anybody about to graduate, really facing that reality? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much advice I have for someone about to graduate, as I'm about to graduate myself, but
yeah.
I'd say the advice I'd give right now would be just keep your options open, remain curious, take advantage of networking opportunities. That's a big reason of why I'm back too, is because last summer I was working in the sales department and I was like, my heart was leaning towards HR. So I look back at the connections I've had and I'm back after about 6 months off. So keeping those networks open, work on building various skills and technical skills, as those are essential for some jobs and internship positions. And yeah, just have fun with it. And
Mhm.
I've learned that if you just keep your heart open to different opportunities, new experiences, you'll
Mm.
find what you're supposed to be doing
Mm.
more times than not. So
That's very deep. That's very wise. So thank you, Josh. I think that was, wonderful information you shared, everything from the advice you gave to your very first introduction to the company, to the internship experience. So I want to thank you for coming today, for sharing about this, for about Miller-Knoll, about the internship experience. All the timestamps from the questions that I asked will be in the description, along with any social media links, any ways to get connected with Miller-Knoll, with Josh, and to find out more about the internship. So thank you, Josh.
thank you so much for having me.